welcome to my allotment. It's the middle of February and there's lots of things I'm still able to harvest. So I'm going to take you around what I'm harvesting at the moment. If you've not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you could please do so, because you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips all throughout the year from my home garden, my allotment and also my home kitchen. Now I came up here this morning and I actually thought the rain had passed, but it hasn't, and I'm up here so I might as well do my harvesting because I need something for my Sunday lunch. So as we take a look at the rhubarb, it's not ready to pick at the moment, but you can see that it hopefully won't be too long. If I wanted to, I could put something over it to force it, but generally speaking mine comes on quite early, so I'm happy to wait. But if you want to force it on, then obviously you can put something over it to try and force it on. As we move down, you can see my kale. Now my kale is still covered. You know, it's a real battle at the moment between the birds and the slugs, if I'm honest with you, and it's just the way it is. You just have to accept that you're going to get a lot of slug damage this time of year, and the birds are going to attack anything that they can. But this has been covered, so the birds have stayed well away from it, so the only damage I've got under there is some slug damage. On the other hand, I haven't covered my chard. I mean, I can't cover everything, I've only got so much netting, and they've actually even started having a go at my bright lights chard, which is really unusual. I mean, they're really hungry. That's why we should all be feeding the birds, because they can't get food from anywhere else. So I'm probably going to let them have those, to be honest, because they're nearly finished. I'm starting off some new chard at the moment from seed. So if I lift up my kale, a really quite big one out here. And what you're going to find this time of year is that the stuff's not growing back as quickly and you're really getting the last of your kale now. So what I would suggest over the next few weeks is to pick as much as you can, but only pick as much as you can eat, because obviously no more will grow. But you will have to get rid of it for two reasons. One, once it starts to warm up, it will bolt and then it won't be any good anyway. And two, you need to start getting the ground ready for your new produce. Now what I do this time of year is I literally clear as much as I can off. I don't take the very top off just yet, because you never know, it might sprout some more bigger leaves. But when I come up here, I wouldn't clear more than one plant. I would say do that one, looks a little bit bare, but then I'll just eat that, and then when I need any more I'll come back and get some more. What you'll find is some of the lower leaves might not be quite as good to eat, although to be fair this one looks pretty good. So this will probably do me a couple of meals. So if we cover that back over for now, because like I said, as I walked down the allotment today, so many people who hadn't covered their kale had no kale because the birds had had it. And there's a distinct difference between picking it and the birds eating it, as you can see from the chard over there. If we take a close look, I know that whoever's kale it was, they hadn't picked it because they kind of like stripped the leaves, so you know this is most likely pigeon damage. And as we walked down, the pigeons came flying up in the air as I walked through the allotments today, so you know it's the pigeons. So, but I have got to eat something. You can just do like damage limitation. Now my beetroots, I've really probably picked all the good ones. So what I'm going to do this month is I'm just going to literally dig what's left up, because what's left are the smaller ones, and what I'll do is I'll just take home. As you can see, look, they're not amounting to much. The slugs have got them. You know, these are the ones that never really amounted to anything. I can't complain because I had plenty that were good. As you can see, quite a lot of slug damage. So like I say, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be clearing all my beetroot, eating what's good eating and composting what's not. So I think it's going to be mainly composting, if I'm honest, but sometimes you'd be surprised. You can dig them up, and as you go through them you can find some that are actually quite usable. So the other thing I'm harvesting are my leeks. Same thing with my leeks. They need to be finished off really by the end of this month, because again, both reasons, I need to be getting the ground ready to plant new stuff, and if I leave it in too long they could bolt. So again, by the end of this month I will make sure I've eaten all these, and we do get through leeks quite quickly, so I'm quite sure that I won't have any trouble eating them all myself. But you could always chop them up and freeze them. You can obviously give them away to friends and family. I've made leek curries with them in the past, so there's plenty of things that you can be doing with them. So it doesn't matter whether they're small, you know, you can dice them up, put it in omelettes, There's just so many things you could do with leeks, so there definitely won't be any leeks in my household going to waste. So as we go over, carry over my basket, and I just wanted to say a thank you from Dee at Delightful Willow for this wonderful basket. They are absolutely fantastic, and I wouldn't be without a basket at my allotment to bring all my produce home. I'm going to put a link in the description for Dee's wonderful baskets if you want to take a look. So it's a family business, and everyone always likes to support people. But as we move over, I think you probably saw in my last video, again, pesky pigeons, but the good thing is with turnips, they only eat the leaves. So this is perfectly okay, because the turnips look amazing. So just twist the tops off and I can just put them in my basket. I made a lovely mashed turnip recipe last week. It was absolutely gorgeous, so I'm probably definitely going to do that again. Turnips can be a little bit tricky to make interesting, so if anyone's got any recipes, please do put them in the comments. I think I've said this before, it's one of the more uninteresting vegetables, but they do grow incredibly easily. So they are often fed to animals, actually, I've been told, but I do quite like a turnip. I think they're quite tasty. So there you go. I think 2 will probably be plenty for me and my family. So you can, I mean, what I did, I actually mashed it with some swede when I did it, or mash it with another vegetable. Well, I've still got squashes at home on my windowsill, so I could mash a little bit of squash in it too to improve the flavour. So as we move over, the cabbages aren't ready to harvest yet, but they are coming on quite nicely, so we might as well take a look anyway, mightn't we? So as you can see, slug damage, but they don't seem to be affecting the actual main part, so if you see any slugs, just remove them. But yeah, look, little tiny hearts are starting to form there, actually starting to feel a little bit firm, so that's really brilliant. I would suspect that once my cow's finished and my chard, or the birds have finished eating my chard, these I can start harvesting them. I don't have to wait for them to get completely full size, because what you'll find is they often all come along at once. As soon as you get one that's a reasonable size, I'll start picking them a little bit sooner. Because otherwise, like I say, they'll all come along at once and then they could start to split, and you don't want that. So that's a real top tip. It seems a little bit, you know, oh, I'm picking it a little bit early. Obviously I wouldn't pick them yet, that's still far too small. But when they start to round up a little bit, I might start picking some of the bigger ones. So another top tip, you probably noticed I've got different gloves on today. I've got a really thick industrial set of rock gloves. So when it's a wet, mucky day, I've got to be honest, I'm a little bit precious with my nails. So if you're a little bit like me, I've got a pair of fleece gloves on underneath because it's a little bit cold and a little bit horrid. And I've got some big, thick, sturdy, strong rubber gloves over the top. So I really hope that you've enjoyed my February harvest. I hope you've got a few things too. It does just show that there are still things that you can be harvesting this time of year. You know, there were lots of Brussels on other people's plots, and the purple sprouting looked like it was coming on other people's plots as well. So, you know, there really are still things that you can have even when it's not quite such nice weather. So I do hope that's helped anybody. If you've got any questions or queries, as usual, please don't hesitate to put something in the comments and we'll always do our best to answer them.